Thank you for being around. It's Business 360. My name is Blyden Lukem on Spectrum TV. In Business 360, we always look at the top stories in the world of business, particularly the forex market would be X-rayed, as well as the stock market from a Nigerian point of view, as well as global stocks. Inflation will take center stage as the Eurozone has released the inflation data. We'll also talk about the U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen giving a remark at the NAP economy, and we begin from there. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen gives remarks at the NAP Economic Policy Conference Paul A. Volcker Award ceremony after being presented the Paul A. Volcker Award. She said, "The goal as policymakers is to build a financial system that can provide core financial services in both good and bad times." Let's hear from the U.S. Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen.
Our prosperity depends on the work to safeguard financial stability before a crisis occurs, just as the implementation of a strong fire code can prevent a fire from breaking out. That work mattered in 2020, when a worldwide pandemic-driven dash for cash put extraordinary strain on the financial system. A decade of focused work to improve financial stability, coupled with forceful public sector interventions, helped us avoid the worst possible economic outcomes. This work also mattered earlier this month when we encountered 2 bank failures with a stronger financial system and hard-earned lessons from the global financial crisis. We have made much progress.
She has spoken about progress made and still opportunities to make even further progress amid difficulties in global economic outlook and that of the US. Let's come back home to Nigeria. Nigerians' love for celebration and fun has propelled champagne consumption in the country to an 8-year high. Challenges. French Trade Association that monitors the volume and value of exports has released new data indicating that Nigeria's champagne imports have risen by 15.3%. The data noted that Nigeria imported 644,452 bottles in 2022, up from 559,088 in 2021. The value also rose by 17.8% to £25.3 million last year. Also, the federal government said on Thursday that Nigeria must not be dumping ground for air conditioners and refrigerators with energy efficiency ratios that are below internationally acceptable minimum energy performance standards. This came as the United Nations Environment Programme announced that over 1 million air conditioners were sold annually in Nigeria, adding that this was eating deep into the finances of Nigerians with respect to energy bills. Meanwhile, the federal government has told the Nigeria Customs Service, Standard Organization of Nigeria (SON), and other relevant agencies to be alive to their responsibilities, stressing that the influx of substandard cooling appliances pose danger to the climate conditions across the country. First Bank of Nigeria Limited has announced a first corporate name change for its subsidiaries in the United Kingdom and Sub-Saharan Africa. The bank disclosed this in a statement by the group head, Marketing and Corporate Communications, First Bank, Folake Ani Mumune. It stated that FBN Bank UK, FBN Bank Sierra Leone, FBN Bank Gambia, and FBN Bank Democratic Republic of Congo are the first set of subsidiaries affecting the name alignment. They are now known and addressed as First Bank UK, First Bank Sierra Leone, First Bank Gambia, and First Bank DRC. The Ghana, Senegal, and Guinea subsidiaries will be next in the phased name change implementation. According to the bank, the name change was being implemented to align the subsidiaries with the parent brand and to enjoy the strong heritage and brand equity built by First Bank Nigeria, in its 129 years of banking relationship. From First Bank to UBA Bank. The United Bank for Africa has said it recorded 201 billion naira profit before tax in its 2022 financial period. The bank disclosed this in a statement on the audited financial results for the full year ended December 31st, 2022. It stated that despite the highly challenging global economic and business environment, UBA recorded a laudable profit before tax, with a 31.2% growth to close the year under review at 200.8 billion naira, rising from 153.01 billion naira recorded at the end of 2021 financial year, while profit after tax grew by 43.5% to 170.2 billion naira in 2022, compared to 118.7 billion naira recorded the year before. Consequently, UBA Group shareholders' funds rose to 922.1 billion naira as of December 2022, achieving an impressive growth by 14.6% compared to the previous year. To Afrexim Bank. Afrexim Bank has provided Nigeria's Parallel and Parallax Bank Limited a trade finance facility worth $10 million in line with its strategy to assist African banks to enhance and complement existing trade finance lines. The financing was deployed under the umbrella of Afrexim Bank's Trade Facilitation Program. According to the President and Chairman of the Board of Directors of Afrexim Bank, Benedict Orama, this move was geared towards bridging the financial gap between businesses. So, agricultural facilities. Fertilizer statistics provider Africa Fertilizer has revealed that the official fertilizer imports to Nigeria increased by 65% to 706,922 metric tons in 2021 from 429,303 in the previous year. The disclosure was made during the Fertilizer Statistics Overview for Nigeria 2017-2021 held in Lagos. The overview, a partnership between Africa Fertilizer and the International Fertilizer Development Center, had in attendance major fertilizer manufacturing companies in the country, including Horti Nigeria, Dangote Fertilizer, Golden Fertilizer, OCP Africa, FEPSAN, among others. According to Africa Fertilizer, there was a restriction on forex on fertilizers and a ban on imported NPK 15-15-15 in Nigeria from the fourth quarter of 2018, which affected importation in 2019 rather. It would be a good time to move to economic perspectives, the global economy. Looking at economic calendar first, the expected economic data for today, Friday, March 31st, 2023. We'll look at the morning and afternoon data expected to be released. The calendar. The early morning calendar around 10 a.m. today showed inflation rate year on year in the Eurozone area. It came out at 6.9%, previously standing at 8.5%. Consensus outlook was at 7.1% and the forecast 7.4%. But it showed an improvement in the Euro area at 6.9%. Around 10 a.m., inflation rate year on year based on preliminary estimates for March in Italy came out at 7.7% against previous standing of 9.1%. Consensus outlook was at 8.2% and the forecast 8.4%. It came out with an improvement in Italy based on inflation. Let's look at the afternoon session. What is expected from the data calendar in the afternoon. The afternoon session would give different outlook beginning from 1 p.m. according to the South Africa balance of trade. Balance of trade in South Africa has shown a huge negativity, and the expectation is still that of negativity. But let's look at US personal income that could come out for February month on month. Currently is at 0.6%. Forecast is expected to drop to 0.2% and forecast 0.4%. We'll get to see what the outlook would be around 1:30 p.m. for US personal spending month on month, as well as US core PCE price index month on month. Still looking at economic data. China manufacturing slows, services growth accelerates. The official NBS Manufacturing Purchasing Manager Index PMI fell to 51.9 in March of 2023 from February's near 11-year high of 52.6, but above market consensus of 51.6. Outputs, new orders, and foreign sales all rose at softer paces, while sentiment hit a 3-month low. Meanwhile, services activity grew the most in nearly 12 years, boosted by strong domestic demand. Let's see the outlook in China. The chart indicating China's NBS manufacturing PMI. The chart. As of April 2022, PMI index stood at 47.4, indicating manufacturing and production in China. It went further upward to 50.2 and dropped to 49 in July 2022. It went further upward again to 50.1 before dropping to 49.2 index level in October 2022. And that slumped to 47 points before moving higher again to 50.1 in January 2022 amid the recovery from the zero COVID policy in China. Went further upward to 52.6 index level, but dropped slowly to 51.9 currently. Looking at the Eurozone. The Eurozone inflation rate eased to 6.9% in March, its lowest level since February 2022, and slightly below market consensus of 7.1%, a preliminary estimate indicated. Still, the reading remains as well above the European Central Bank's target, and the core index hits a fresh record high of 5.7%, putting pressure on policymakers to push on with further rate hikes. Let's see inflation in Europe. The chart indicating euro area inflation rates in Europe. 2022, 7.4% went further upward as global economy was affected also to 8.9% and still went higher to a peak of 10.6% before dropping slowly to 8.6% in January 2023 and now to a low of 6.9%. In Africa, we'll move to Egypt. The Central Bank of Egypt raised its key overnight deposit rate by 200 basis points to 18.25% in its March 2023 meeting, in line with market estimates. The Monetary Policy Committee stressed that higher borrowing costs are necessary to tame high inflation forecasts. Highline inflation rose to a record high of 31.9% in February, while the core reading rose to a record high of 40.3%. The move also aims to alleviate pressure on the Egyptian pound amid the country's currency crisis, as the spread between the black market and the official rates continues to widen due to speculation of a fourth currency devaluation since last March. It would be a good time to move to the commodities market. Beginning with metal market commentary, Bob Isino will give us an outlook in this one. Gold attempts to close above $2,000 for the first time in 1 year. Let's hear from Bob regarding this.
In the metals quadrant, taking a look at that June gold futures contract above 2,000 again throughout most of the later day session. Gold attempting to close above 2,000 for the first time since March 10th of 2022. So over 1 year. Doesn't look like it's going to make it as we sit in toward the close right now. 1996.90 is only up 62 basis points, so a little bit more than 0.6%. But on the high, 2,002.40. So 2002.4 was up 0.9%. On the downside, 1971.60 minus 65 basis points, so a little bit more than 0.6%. All of that versus yesterday's close at 1984.50. On the week, gold is still down, but it has recovered over 1.9% of the fall that it had built into the week and is nearing unchanged. We're down about 15 basis points through the close on Thursday, so in between 0.1% and 0.2% on the week. Yields are higher today, but they're only mildly higher, and that's only across the front end of the curve. The 2 years up about 2 basis points, the 5 years unchanged, the 2 years down 2, and the 30 years down 3. So yields are absolutely no worry, no headwind at all for gold. As we've talked about before, rising yields can be a headwind for gold in the right circumstances. So with yields kind of stabilizing, gold isn't seeing any headwind there. And GDP came out at up 2.6%, but there was some underlying weakness in there. First of all, it's the third time it's been revised lower from 2.9 to 2.7 to 2.6. So there's some weakness. Also, the inventories in the GDP figure were revised.
It will be a good time to look at the market to see what the metal market is saying this morning and check out the price of gold in the market, silver, and the rest of the metals. The metal market this morning. Gold is downward this morning, just as silver and copper after attempting to hit the 2,000 mark. The $2,000 mark. Gold price $1,975 per ounce, dropping by 4.77 points, a negative 0.25% decline. Silver is downward this morning, copper downward. But steel price is slightly upward by 24 points, 4,175 Chinese yuan per ton. Let's look at the energy market. The energy market gives similar perspective, market slightly downward. Current price for US crude oil, which is WTI crude, 74. Market is moving fast, 73 US dollars per barrel. For Brent, it's 77 US dollars per barrel. Brent is Nigeria's price benchmark, downward by 0.6 points. Natural gas is a little here, a little there, not really upward. Gasoline downward, heating oil downward, coal slightly upward this morning. Let's look at the agricultural market this morning. What the price of soybeans, wheat, lumber seem to say in the morning market. Soybeans current price 1,471 US dollars per bushel, downward by 3.25 points. For wheat is 687 US dollar per bushel, downward by 4.59 points. Lumber a little here, a little here, not really reasonably going up. Palm oil is downward too by 28 points. Current price for palm oil 3,760 Malaysian ringgit per ton. And that's the outlook of that market. It would be a good time to see the effects in the FX market, the foreign exchange market. We'll begin with Dan Deming giving us a commentary in this one. But most G10 currencies trade higher, and pressure consistently comes for the US dollars. Let's hear from Dan Deming regarding this.
In today's FX markets, let's look at the Euro futures as they're realizing some higher price action today. Euro futures higher for a fourth consecutive session, and today's price action has pushed the futures market up to its highest level in the last 6 trading sessions, which also correspond with the highs over the last couple of months as well. Currently 1.0956, so just off the intraday highs, but still up nicely on the session. And we look at the driving factors today. I think there's a couple things to point to. Number one, equity relief rally continues here for a couple sessions in a row now. We're seeing global equities bouncing back and then U.S. following suit. And I think that that's causing a little bit of a shift in rotation out of the dollar and into some of the other currency markets. Also, the interest rate environment playing out not only here in the United States, but from a global perspective. I think it's also influencing the market structure. Couple that with the data points this morning coming out of the U.S., where we did see some revisions lower in GDP and some of the other pricing pressures within that data point and other data points this morning, indicating some moderation. And I think that that's another factor contributing to why we're seeing the Euro futures and other major FX markets moving higher today. Now, looking at the general trends.
That was a perspective regarding G10's currency and how they influence the US dollar in the market. Let's move to the market then to see how true these assertions are. The euro against the US dollar and other majors. The market has continuously been a struggle for the US dollar in recent times, but right now the US dollar is resisting all the attempts from the G10 currencies as it happened early hours of the morning. Current price for the euro against the US dollar is 1.08 points level right now, slightly downward for the euros, a 0.0022 point downward for pounds is a similar story at 1.23 point mark. For the Aussie, it's slight downward movement. You can see the US dollar is gaining slightly too against the Japanese yen, and that's the outlook, also gaining against the Chinese yuan this morning. Let's look out for Nigeria's naira against the majors. Current price for the naira against the US dollar against the naira is 459 naira, equaling $1. At the close of yesterday's market, the market has been around this zone for over 2 months now. For the euro against the naira, current price is 500 naira, equaling €1. The euro has gained 1.632 points against the naira. For the pounds to the naira, it's also gaining 1.63 points against the naira. Let's go to the parallel market then and see what the outlook is in the parallel market. The black market, we'll look at the buying rates. It's been steady in recent times, 750 naira equaling $1 at buying rate and 746 naira to $1 at selling rate. For the pounds to naira, it's 925 naira equaling £1 and 910 naira equaling £1 for selling rate. For the euro to the naira, it's 795 naira to €1 at buying rate and 781 naira to €1 at selling rate on the average. Let's look at the crypto insights then. Bitcoin has been steady on that steady rise. Despite headline risks, Bitcoin continues to dominate the crypto space of 74% since the start of the year. Question would be, what's behind the steady rise in Bitcoin? Let's get to hear from Jim Laurier on this. Jim.
From the beginning of January of this year, Bitcoin is up a pretty astounding 74%. Now, the rally has shocked some analysts because it comes with what appears to be massive headline headwinds. Each week seems as another major headline for Bitcoin, ranging from ongoing attempts at government regulation and problems in several domestic banks that are involved in crypto lending. Interestingly, during the turmoil, Bitcoin's dominance within the space has risen aggressively from 38% of the total crypto market cap back in November to a current level of 46%. The rising dominance of Bitcoin has some analysts believing that it has been the beneficiary of a flight to quality trade within the crypto space. Since March 19th, Bitcoin has been trading in a range loosely defined by 27,000 on the downside and 29,000 on the upside. Now, a reminder that the CME Group now offers options on both micro Bitcoin and micro Ether futures. We're going to be using.
Well, while there's a rise in Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency, let's move to the market to see what the price of Bitcoin and other cryptos are this morning. The crypto market has shown similar negativity to what's happening with the commodities and the energy markets. Bitcoin downward by 408 point. Market is moving quick this morning. Current price for Bitcoin $27,745 for one Bitcoin after attempting to hit the 29,000 mark. Ether is downward this morning. Binance also downward this morning. Cardano downward or gaining slightly, not reasonably in the market, but Solana is downward this morning. Ripples, a little here, a little there. It would be a good time to move to the stock market to see what the stocks and the performances are this morning. From an Asian point of view, Asian stocks had mixed fortune this morning. But let's look at Nigeria's perspective, the Nigerian stock market, based on the closure of market yesterday and how it can influence the market today. The Nigeria's market capitalization appreciated to 29.64 trillion naira on Thursday, as it grew by 1.5% or 440.93 billion naira from the previous day's 29.2 trillion naira. The all-share index closed at 54,418.21 points, rising from 53,603.8 points after gaining 809.41 basis points. Over 973.64 million shares were traded in 3,718 deals worth 4.22 billion naira. Let's look at the top gainers then. Oando led the gainers list with a 49 kobo rise in share price to move from 4 naira 91 kobo to 5 naira 40 kobo per share. PZ topped the losers table after shedding 70 kobo to drop from 11 naira 90 kobo to 11 naira 20 kobo per share. Let's look at the top volume then. Transcorp led the day's trading with 455.53 million shares valued at 669.22 million naira. That's where we draw the curtain on today's edition of Business 360. My name is Blyden Kim. Thank you for watching.